Welcome back to Danger Close Customs. Today we're going to be taking a look at several different pistol caliber carbine chassis systems. They make excellent PDWs, personal defense weapons, and just overall good accessory to add to the guns you already own. So you remember going to your first gun store or gun show and just seeing rows and rows of guns and not knowing what is what and which one you wanted, except for last year when there was barely any guns on the shelf. So then you went to the internet and you found out way too much information and opinions about all these guns, and you didn't know which one to listen to, leaving you more confused than you started. Is the AR-15 the best gun to get for your first gun? Maybe an AR-15 pistol. It's lightweight and easy to maneuver. Really, it should be that 12-gauge home defense shotgun that's really big and kicks like a mule. Actually, you should get a revolver where there's no complicated action and slide to deal with. But what about everybody and those Glocks? Why is it so popular? Here's why I recommend a Glock 17 or Glock 19 for your first gun. Today I'll be talking about the Glock Macaroni. I mean, the CAA Micro-Roni. It is a chassis system that you put your Glock 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 3014, it doesn't matter. They all have a system for them. And we're going to take a look at those, and we're going to take a look at these for a second. Okay, sorry, easily distracted. Anyways, we'll take a look at different chassis for these pistols to show you that this is a good system to incorporate in your arsenal, especially for new shooters, because it gives you so many different advantages over just a regular pistol in your hand. This is more realistic than you think. Stress, fear, shock, adrenaline all affect your accuracy in a real-world situation. So this is a newer generation CAA MCK, which stands for Micro Conversion Kit. And this one has the really short brace on there just because I use it with the chest rig. This is a polymer chassis that you put your pistol inside, and it gives you 4 points of contact: your cheek, your chest, your left hand, and your right hand. It allows you to have optics, laser, flashlight, extra magazine, and overall better control, easier to rack to slide with the charging handle. Also allows you to put on a sling and naturally point that muzzle downrange at the target as compared to holding up a pistol. They have new ergonomics that are improved, including a thumb stop that you can put on either side, as well as finger grooves that wrap around naturally to keep your hand away from the muzzle. These kits are now made in the United States, and it's also lowered the price. I see these go on sale quite often for about $175. It's a little bit bigger and bulkier, and it does add some weight, especially with the accessories that you add. But overall, it gives you more stability, and that plastic frame doesn't really weigh that much. This makes charging to action a lot easier, especially for folks who don't have a lot of hand strength or have arthritis and can't grip the slide easily. I also like these for younger shooters and new shooters. Give them that confidence and being able to work the action and control the weapon as compared to just holding the pistol in their hand. Now I'm going to show you the takedown and how to put it together. The red dot I'm pointing there is the indicator that it's locked, and you pull that back and that allows you to open the chassis. You push it forward and that red dot appears, meaning that it's locked in. The front locking piece is a little bit harder to work. You do have to pull down on that with some force to be able to pull the gun back out of the chassis. but it's much better than the older models I'll show later, where you have to push on both sides at the same time. This one I'm able to do with just one side at a time. So as you can see, the new design is pretty easy to get that pistol in and out of there, and it allows you to take your pistol out and carry it, and then you come home and put it back together in the chassis for home defense. So obviously the downside is this thing's a lot bigger when you put it in the chassis. So I do recommend that you learn how to shoot your pistol outside of the chassis as you normally would, but even experienced shooters would benefit from putting this back in the chassis at night and using this system for your home defense weapon with a light or laser or both, and an optic and extra magazine along with the 4 points of contact. This really shores up your accuracy and gives you the ability to hit the target you intend to hit, especially if you're not shooting, practicing every month, but going just a few times a year. This system will really improve your ability to survive and take out the threat. The front mag well is just a friction resistance. You shove the magazine in there and you have to yank it out, but it works good and the magazines don't fall out of there. And it just allows you to have more ammo in your gun. You can use a backup of a small magazine, or you can carry a full stick magazine as your backup and have double the ammo. Here I'm showing you the screws on the chassis that you got to take out to move the barrel piece forward or back, depending on which size pistol you have. A lot of these now are made for multiple sizes, so not just one model of gun, but you can use a Glock 17 and a Glock 19 in this. And it'll often come with the Glock 19 setup, and it won't fit your Glock 17, so you do have to remove the screws and move that barrel piece forward so that you can fit your Glock 17 in there. And here I'm showing you this other piece that comes in there. It's made for a flashlight. Of course, I like to customize things, so I cut that out, and it allows me to use my own flashlight. But they sell a flashlight kit for about $70 that you can add to that hole that's built in underneath the barrel. But here I'm showing you I just cut it out and shove my own flashlight in there. And then I also added a flashlight to the top, which I can easily access with my thumb. I don't use both, just one or the other. Here you can see the stability of that 4 points of contact and being able to use an optic, really keeping this gun stable. Even a new fancy pistol with a red dot optic won't outperform a chassis system like this with the ability to have the 4 points of contact. The general idea is your pistol should be your secondary, and you use it to get back to your rifle. And this is the intermediate version of your rifle. It's also good if your sidearm is a Glock, and then you can use the same magazines for both your main weapon and your secondary weapon. Next, I have the newest generation MCK for my 10mm Glock. It's a Glock 20. Same concept as what we talked about before, except for this is a much hotter round, more recoil, and you really gain the advantage by shooting it in a chassis. 10mm is very stout. When you shoot this, you're gonna feel it. If you have bears, cougars, silverback gorillas, woolly mammoths, any large animal, or giant predator, terrorist, bad guys, the 10mm will really do a job to stop that threat. I highly recommend the 10mm for mountain trails, camping, and hiking. You can see they added this extra black piece to the bottom of this chassis. The 10mm magazine and round ammo is bigger. It allows you to have a button mag release to pop that out faster, and also holds it in. Obviously this is a workaround. It's a little bit bulkier with that piece, but I'd still like the ability to have a button mag release over the friction held mag on the other version. Here I'm showing you the paint job on this. It's kind of the scales and snake skin with different colors and changes based on the angle you're looking at it. I'll show you how I did this. You get some netting. I think this was like the bag of a pack of oranges, and you lay it over, and then you just get a spray can. You spray different colors, each time moving the net and just doing a light dusting at a different angle, and that's how it changes colors based on which angle you're looking. And so you get some dark colors and some light colors over blending in with each other to get this look. So here's the Glock 20 kit for 10mm. It's a little bit longer with the new brace system on there. I think this overall size of this kit is slightly larger, just to accommodate the size of the Glock, but I'm sure the Glock 21 for the 45 is probably about the same size. And I show you that it's still concealable in the kit. You just fold out your brace and you'll be ready to engage those T-Rex riding frost giants. Next, I've got the previous version of the Roni. This is the CAA Roni before they switched to the new American-made design. And there's a lot of different features on this one. One being that the pistol attachment piece was open here and you could slide it in and out, whereas the new one, I'll show you, is captured and you just press the pistol up into it. There are some complaints about these wearing out, and so I haven't noticed it, and I don't really take it out in and out every single day to wear it out. But as long as you're paying attention to those grooves and not forcing anything, it does snap in pretty easily along the grooves in your slide. As long as you're not forcing it, it should last just fine. So the handguard design up here in front is a little different, not as ergonomic. They just had kind of angled design here. And then later they added that hole so they can add a mag holder. The older version also had a safety that flipped up and down. I guess they realized people with Glocks already don't use a safety, so they deleted that. This older grip with the angle is more intuitive, kind of like an angled foregrip. So I do like it better than the finger grooves. But that design might be due to the mag holder being added to the front handguard. Here I have one of the first versions of the CAA Micro Roni. And this one is a completely different system. They made a lot of different changes over the generations. But this one still also had the safety. It's got a cool space look. You see I added a angled foregrip to the front because there wasn't a good place to put your hand. I believe these were designed and imported from Israel, where they must not have stupid SBR laws. So they came over as SBR kits. And this one was converted to a pistol kit with a brace. So now I'm going to show you how to get this one out, how this system works. There again is the safety. So you see I added a buffer tube for the brace. I added some friction internal parts to allow it to ratchet back and forth by twisting, and then it allows you to move that back, and then you pop the pin out the front, and then you push the front forward, and then it allows you to completely open the chassis. So the newer system is a lot easier and faster to get your pistol in and out, whereas this one you had to take it and break it down a little bit to get it out. And it's really only held in there by just the one single groove in your light rail, and there's a peg there and you set it on there. And I'm not sure how stable that really was, but it seems to work okay. The newer design obviously is to provide a lot better contact and stability. So it's been many years since I used this one, and just fumbling around trying to put it back together, I can see why they made those improvements, because everything has to be closed in and held together just right for things to fit, the parts to fit together. I guess that's a good thing to make for a tight tolerance, but it is a bad thing as far as the time it takes to install. Next, I have the Hera arms. chassis. This one looks cool, but it's a bad system. You have to switch out your pin in the lower of your pistol as well as your rear sight to be able to use it. This next one is a Triari Hera, and it is a little different design, also pretty fast to put your weapon in. It has a locking lug in the front. You twist that knob and then it allows you to open the chassis forward. You shove your pistol in there. It's got grooves to mount up to your light rail on your Glock, and then you can shove it back and lock it in. I think this one is probably the easiest to insert your weapon and remove your weapon. That being said, it's just that little rotating knob that's really holding it in place. But I've shot this one many times, and it does have a cool charging handle on the front of the weapon instead of at the rear of the weapon. My friend said this one looks like it was in Star Wars, futuristic looking. This fold-out brace buffer tube system, that piece right there is about $150 to $200 just by itself. I was able to get this whole chassis with the brace for, I believe, $100 at a gun store used. These are so rare that nobody knew what it was. They said that they knew that it was worth a lot more money, but they just marked it down to get rid of it. Lucky me. The only weird part is that most of your Glock is exposed here, and it's just kind of a cap on the front and a cap on the rear with a rail over it. But it works well. Again, I've shot this many times, and it does improve your accuracy. It's aluminum instead of polymer. Some people like that better. I do like this one. This next one is the ACP, the Adaptive Carbine Platform for Sig Sauer P226. And this one has a front charging handle. It also uses a block that you bolt on to your front rail, and then you lock that in place into the chassis. So not one you just pull out and be able to use the weapon. Although you can use the weapon, you won't be able to holster it with that big plastic piece on your rail there. But it is a very firm design, all metal design. They were fairly early to market with this, and so they came out with a decent option for the SIG P226, but I do believe all the other manufacturers make the newer polymer chassis for the SIG 226 now. Because it locks onto the front rail, I was able to use different pistols with this system. Inside there is a Ruger P Series 325, and it works pretty good in there, and I also have stick mags for that one. Thought, why waste my P226 permanently attached into this chassis when I can just put a older Ruger in there and keep my 226 for daily use. You start to really appreciate the newer version, the MCK by CAA, because these older chassis require tools. You have to take out a screw, you need some tools to push things around, you got to unbolt that locking piece. So really, this system is meant to be on your bench, not daily use or out in the field. Much like the MPX by SIG, which is overbuilt with lots of small parts, this chassis also has lots of small parts, including a spring that you can lose, and the screw pops out. As you can see, that's a big chunk of plastic attached to the front of your gun. You can shoot it like that, obviously. It does not affect it. It doesn't go in front of the barrel or anything, but it isn't a good addition to your pistol. However, if you can find one of these and you have an older SIG or maybe even the P325 Ruger laying around, I do think this chassis system works well as designed. It's just you got to commit to using it. But once you put it in there, you do have a solid metal chassis around there, providing with the 4 points of contact. It's easy to use, and you still can use your hammer and your decocker and your safety on these weapons. And the reason why I was able to use different pistols in here is because of that system there in the back where you're tightening down a bolt to move that piece forward to fit against your gun and hold it in place in the rear. And so that allows you to use different guns. Continuing on with Sig Sauer, the next one is the SIG chassis for the P320. Very popular gun. The military has adopted the P320, renamed it the M17. And this chassis is polymer and metal. And you use the upper of your pistol and you use your trigger group and you install it onto basically a new lower and the chassis around it. I like space looking guns, and this one reminds me of the space battleship Yamato, or as you may know in America, the Argo from Star Blazers. This is a very sturdy and durable design, not flimsy and plasticky at all. It has the charging handles on both the left and right side. With the grooves, you can hold it up and give it an HK slap to release your bolt. Has a nice rail on top. I added an M-LOK hand stop underneath, but you don't need that really. And the two on the side can be taken off and have rails there instead. I think they're underneath there, or they come with attachments. This is a very compact PDW style weapon. Very easy to deploy that brace. Overall, I think this was about $450 for the chassis with the brace included. And those braces by themselves for the MPX usually cost about $250, so it's not a bad deal. It's got a pick rail, so you can use other types of braces, but they designed it for this one. As you can see, it has those holes in the system to allow for those two rods of the brace to move forward into there, sliding in and out. And to open it up, you push this button, and there you can see the slide and barrel of your pistol, and then you use the fire control group that comes out and that has the trigger pack, and that's the serialized part. So you can order a new lower for this gun and switch it out to any kind of lower you want, because the serial part is the trigger, not the lower or the upper. I'll show you on the next gun how that trigger pack looks like and how to get it out, but it takes about 5 minutes on this one. It's pretty tight to move that lever. Here's the HK slap that you can do for charging the action. Pull it up into a groove there and then give it a slap. And now going back to Ruger, this is the Ruger 5.7 chassis made by CSM, called the MP57. And it is very similar to the one I just showed you. It's a chassis built around as a lower. You use your fire control group, your barrel, and your upper slide. And you basically take this apart by pulling it apart here, pop out one pin. And unlike the other one, this one uses the factory optics mounting holes to put a charging handle that fits on there, where the other one had that front spring suspension charging handle. Very similar takedown. You pivot that lever and you pull out your fire control group trigger pack, and that's the serialized part on the Ruger 5.7 as well. And so this is just a polymer lower kit that you can add, or you can add any other lower grip section that they come out with for your pistol. It goes back together pretty easy. Again, these systems are meant to be committed to use it like this. You can anytime take your pistol out, of course, but not in the field, probably not while you're actively using it, pursuing anybody. And you would have to have your spare lower available to put it back together into a pistol anyway. It's got a good look, and this is very lightweight, very compact. Folding brace on there, and I use this for my concealed PDW system just because it's light, and it has 25 round mags. And so with 2 mags, one in the brace, I've got 50 rounds of 5.7 firepower at my disposal. I mentioned this earlier that these systems allow you to use a sling, and that sling helps you to carry it, and also when you need to drop your weapon, to switch to firearm, to reload, to do anything, that sling helps you carry that around, and it's very useful. As I'll show you here, my personal mentor, Jimmy B, is walking around with all that swagger with his PDW chassis system pistol slung on his side as he gets ready to do some work. Watch to the very end so I can show you how important that sling is. You'll see why. Thanks for watching my videos. Please hit the like button and please subscribe. That really helps me a lot. I'm planning to do some more videos. Leave a comment on some other stuff you'd like to see, or if you have anything to say about these chassis systems. I think they're invaluable to us and really can help you out.
Alla morte. Alla morte. Bottoms up.